Okay folks, back at it. Getting ready to do this front section. I wanted to do it first before I started trying to carve any of this out. I want to get it supported just as good as I can get it, because I don't need any warping or moving or anything once we cut this out and redo it the way that I hadn't figured out how I'm going to do yet. But I've got an idea. Anyway, I want to say a couple things. I appreciate everybody watching. I'm getting real good feedback on this, getting a lot of views on it. And the problem is every time I put a video on YouTube, still demonetizing them. So what, you'll see ads on them, of course, but and it seems like the ads are still playing, but they don't want us to make any money off of them, and don't understand it. I mean, I'm assuming, I know they cut back anybody that with 1,000 subscribers or less. They don't get any monetization, I guess you'd call it. They don't make any money. And so those of us lucky enough to have more than 1,000 still make a little bit, but like I said, they are absolutely demonetizing every video I put on. But well, the one I put on last night that you watched when I started on this frame, by the morning here it was demonetized. So I don't know what time it was, but and they keep claiming algorithms, and it don't make any sense to me. I mean, unless it's maybe the way I talk. But anyway, I'm going to go ahead and get at this either way and see if we can get this supported up good. All right. Okay, folks, we're moving along. We've got the piece welded in. I didn't weld it on the sides yet at all, and I don't want to get into here because this is what you got to take off to adjust the front end. So I am going to clean this up and get welds up to it on both sides, and I forgot to grind it when I was grinding everything else. So anyway, let me walk around and show you the other side. Okay, got it welded in all the way back, and that should support everything really good. I've got it tied into here. Now what I'll probably do is take probably just a piece of 1/8 inch, and I'm going to build a plate. Hopefully you can see this. I know there's a glare from that sun, but we're going to build a plate that actually goes on here, that the hole goes through, the bolt goes through for the upper A-frame. We're actually going to bring it down and tie it into this frame, and that'll help support that A-frame. It won't go anywhere, and we'll probably do the same thing on the front and build a plate and just bring it down into the original frame and weld it in, and we'll do that on both sides. Instead of just having the support in the center here, we'll have the support out here where it really needs to be, because this is where it needs to have support for the spring, of course, in the center, but I mean, we'll have some support out here for the ends of the A-frames, and that'll tie this front end together pretty good, and then I won't be so worried about it. We've still got to carve out this piece and get it in, and I'm having to go above these welded on brackets. Let me do this thing. These welded on brackets, because I don't want to grind them off, so I'm actually making it fit. So you got to do a lot of little stuff and grind all this off. This is where they put the angle on there. Somebody did, but which, I mean, the way they've got it, there's two pieces, top and bottom. When we flip the frame, we'll check the bottom, probably re-weld it, but it's actually going to help. It's not a bad thing, and that's, like I said, that's going to support this thing really good. And I think we'll get this done, and then we'll go ahead and start building the outriggers, maybe for each side. And I've still got to lower that one down a little bit. I know it's up a little bit high where somebody had welded it back on, but what I'll do is run a level across the frame, a long one, and we'll just set the height up exactly right on it on each side, and that way when we set the body on it, it'll all be square. And one of the reasons I'm doing this and using these outriggers, I'm trying to keep basically the original place that it mounted on the body. And I know people said to build a frame, but to me this is not harder than completely building a frame, and it's actually pretty easy. I enjoy this kind of stuff. Figuring out problems is part of the deal. And not only that, I think I like this front end. It'll fit under the car better. Somebody has mentioned about the Pacer front end. which would have been great, but that pacer front end is so wide that it would have put the wheels on the outside of the car. So we're going to deal with what we got here. I've got a friend that circle track races. He's been to the rat rod builds. He's a real good guy. He has got a collection of these coilover springs, so a big collection. So and a matter of fact, it's the guy that I got the control arms off of that we're using on the rear of that come from Childress Racing, and so we'll figure out what we need on this. We need to figure out a way of testing them. You know, see what these are, see what we're going to go to. We want to try to keep the front suspension soft because we do want the weight to transfer to the back, and you know, we want to have enough suspension travel in it, and especially if it does get the front wheels up and it comes down, we don't want it hitting. I'm thinking about, because I've seen too many times. Now this one's not going to have an issue with the oil pan hitting the ground because it's underslung if it did come down, but I've seen a lot of cars do that and tear the pans up and stuff. But what I thought about doing, I want to try to figure out where everything bottoms out at. In other words, set it all up with the shock on it without the spring, go ahead and bottom it out, and then come up with, I've got some thick plastic, but figure out a way of putting some of this hard plastic on the frame, so if it ever does bottom out, it's basically going to bottom out just on that plastic before it bottoms out on the suspension. And I really think that'll save a lot of things, and not just save from scrubbing underneath, but it may save the suspension itself, because when the suspension bottoms out, that's when it's going to, you know, really be in a bind. That's when you're going to break stuff. So if it comes down and the bottom of the frame actually hits the ground before the suspension bottoms completely out, I think that will, you know, save us from breaking parts. And so that's something I'm going to do. And I don't know if you've noticed or not, but on Tractor Pull and all the new tractors, you know, they've done this a few years ago. They started running bars underneath, so when they bottom out, when they come down, they quit breaking the wheels off, because that's what was happening, was the wheels was breaking off. So now when they bottom out, you know, it just bottoms out on the ground on the track, and it's solved a lot of problems with frame brakes and front end brakes and stuff. And if you keep up with any of the newer pulling tractors, you'll see what I'm talking about. But all right, I'm going to get at this, try to get this piece finished up, and then we're going to maybe do a little bit of outrigger work here. Okay, folks, here's my Dana rear. I'm out of breath. I just had to get this thing drug out from where it was so I could see it. And man, she's heavy. But anyway, this is an 8-lug. These are floating axles, and that's what I want to use, because I'll explain how I do this. Now, I've never done this on a drag car, don't get me wrong, but I have done it on a 20-ton crane and quite a few dump trucks. We've run into axle length problems before. So I have made new plates. Now, one of them I didn't make a new plate, I actually used the original, but you can make a new plate with the hole size that you want for the axle. So you put the plate on the axle where you want it, and you weld the outside of it. And you can do it and get the strength that'll hold up no problem. And you know, I don't know what the width is going to end up being, and then of course you shorten the housing up, and we'll pull these off and put them back on, weld it back to it. And you know, I don't think the width's going to be a problem, but I'm not sure if this is a 60 or a 70. It does have well, it's got an 80 right there, and I don't know what that means, but it's got a tag on it. Can't quite read it. I think this came out of a van or a pickup. I don't remember. I've saved it for years. But I've got a chart in there. I can tell exactly which one it is from the pan, but I don't have it out here with me. Now I've got a couple other rears that are 1 ton that have really low gears in them, and they're actually out of them Jacobson mowers, so the gears are probably up into maybe 530 or something, or maybe even up into 600s. But you know, we may just check one of them out and see if the pan's the same. But anyway, that's one of the reasons I come back here. I wanted to get a video of this pan so I can check and see for sure that this is a 60. And you know, it looks like it, but you know, it's pretty easy to get fooled on these things. But anyway, that's what we got. and don't know the gear. I'm going to go look at this other one real quick and I'll show you. Okay, here's another one, and you can see the casting's made a little different. It's got a brace around here, but the pan looks the same. I don't know, this could be a 70. I'm going to try to get a little bit of a video on it, but this is a dual wheel rear, and the reason I don't think we're going to use one of these, it's a lot bigger, a lot heavier on the ends, but the brakes may even be smaller on these. A lot of times you'll find that dualies, you know, the dual wheels, they run 16s instead of 16.5s, and the brakes are 11 inch instead of 13. So, and I've got two of these. There's another one down there. But we may check the gear in this, and I need to get a video of the cover of this one. Hopefully, so I can compare it. There's just some little differences on them covers. And if I was to guess, I'd say this was a really, really low gear. So this had a chain drive coming off the engine down to a drop box, and then ran to the rear end. It would run 20 mile an hour wide open, but of course it wasn't getting all its gear reduction from the rear. It was getting a lot of it from that chain. So, but we'll figure it out and go from there. Okay, here's our sheet. I figured I'd walk back out here and see maybe if I can figure it out. It's looking like, I'm thinking maybe the dually rears are 70s and the other one's a 60. But this one's got all the pans on it, so should be able to tell. Like I said, I'm just not up on them real well. And this shows about all of them. I'm getting ready to have to go on a tow, so we'll check this out and I'll go on a tow and see if I can get back and get some more work done on it. Well, according to this bump out right here, these are both 60s. Now this would be a 1 ton 60, another one 3/4 ton. That might be why the case is different. So if the axle size is the same, we may use this center and use the spindles off the other one and weld them on. And the reason being is the case is just built stronger. It's got that support on it, and that would work good. And I know these are big heavy rears, but we want to put it in and just not have no trouble with it ever. So we'll check it out some more, keep playing around, see if we can figure it all out. Maybe somebody else knows more about Dana rears than I do. All right. Okay, folks, looks like this is about all I'm going to get done today, which is not good, but you know, it's better than nothing. But I did get, you know, the main frame tied into the front, and that's what we wanted. It's all welded up. I'm still going to do some more fabricating and welding on the towers there and strengthen them up so I don't have to worry about them. And you know, a couple things here I wanted to tell you. You know, one thing is I tried to live stream a little bit earlier, actually twice. You know, I don't have a good enough connection out here, but I was just trying to learn how to do it. It was kind of funny because the first one I canceled and started another one, and then I guess the first one loaded to YouTube, and the second one I didn't let it load to YouTube because I didn't want to save it. But I happened to just walk in the house and sit down and look, and you know, it had just gotten on there and they'd already demonetized it. So they're getting really bad, and you know, I wonder now if it ain't a money thing to where they're just trying to save money. But you know, trying to keep, you know, every dollar you save is it all adds up. But anyway, you see what we've got going on here. Another thing I wanted to touch on that I guess I should have thought about this, but you know, when I'm riding around in the rollback, I do a lot of thinking, and one of our problems is if we keep this underslung all the way and we mount our rear, you know, I was thinking, well, we can cut down into here, and you know, our ride height's going to be above that, so it's not going to ever hit it or anything like that. So I wasn't worried about that. But here's our problem. How are we going to change the tires on the car? If we can't lower the rear down far enough to get them out of the fender wells, the only way of doing it would be to actually be able to take the back body off, and I really don't want that. So we may do some changing up on the way we do this rear. I was going to keep it, you know, it's still going to sort of be underslung because the rear end's going to be higher than the rest of the frame. We just may change up, you know, bob this off and change it up. And you know, I didn't really want to buy them no more steel, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. And you know, it's things like this you're going to run into. You know, you can laugh, whatever. Hey, you know, but if I'd have built the whole thing and then you know, realized we couldn't change the tires, then there would have been a problem. But But yeah, that's some of the stuff you got to go through, and that's usually what I do when I'm driving around. Is, you know, I got my mind on my projects, trying to figure out what I'm going to do. So anyway, but camera's fixing to go dead. Appreciate everybody watching, and till next time, bye.